The world is watching as a new diplomatic gold rush unfolds in Beijing. Black cars glide through Tiananmen Square, carrying Western leaders past Mao's portrait. One after another they arrive, German Chancellor, French President, and more. This isn't just about photo ops. It's about survival in a world facing immense challenges. Increasingly, all roads lead to Beijing. The West is learning that engagement, not isolation, is the only way forward. The guest list in Beijing reads like a G7 summit. German Chancellor Scholz arrived first, flanked by top CEOs, determined to protect Germany's economic lifeline. For Berlin, decoupling from China was never realistic. Economic pressure made that clear. Scholz's visit signaled, business with China continues, politics aside. Next came French President Macron calling for European strategic autonomy. Macron's message, Europe must chart its own course with China, not just follow Washington. His visit exposed cracks in the Western alliance over how to handle China's rise. Other European leaders soon followed. Spain's Prime Minister, the EU Commission President, each with their own agenda. The EU's approach is pragmatic. Some leaders push business, others press on security and trade fairness. Even Australia's Prime Minister and major US business leaders have joined the procession. CEOs from tech and finance are eager to secure market access and navigate regulations. The parade of power makes one thing clear: ignoring China is no longer an option. Engagement in whatever form is now the only path forward. The world's leaders are adapting to a new reality. Beijing has become the diplomatic crossroads of the 21st century. Each visit is a calculated move in a high-stakes game. The stakes? Economic survival and global influence. The world is watching who blinks first. The main driver behind these visits: money. Western economies are sputtering, high inflation, slow growth, and shrinking markets. China's 1.4 billion consumers are a lifeline for companies like Volkswagen, Apple, and Airbus. Losing access to China would mean factory closures and job losses back home. For Germany, the auto industry's future depends on China's market. French luxury and aerospace brands also rely on Chinese demand. When Macron visits, he's not just a statesman, he's a top salesman. Airbus competes fiercely with Boeing for billion-dollar Chinese orders. These deals support thousands of jobs in Europe. Economic dependency on China creates powerful incentives for diplomacy. Leaders may have concerns about human rights or security, but economic well-being comes first. They can't afford to be cut off from China. So they travel to Beijing, seeking stability and open markets. The economic lifeline China offers is one the West cannot sever. In today's world, prosperity and engagement are inseparable. The yuan is the currency of survival. Economics may drive the rush, but politics and security are never far behind. Ongoing wars in Ukraine and the Middle East demand global solutions, and China's influence is crucial. Western leaders urge Xi to help push for peace, especially in Ukraine. On climate change, China's role is indispensable as both the top emitter and a green tech powerhouse. No global climate deal is possible without Beijing's buy-in. Taiwan remains a dangerous flashpoint. Direct communication is vital to prevent miscalculation. European leaders stress the catastrophic impact a Taiwan conflict would have on the global economy. These visits are about managing risk and maintaining stability in a volatile world. The global order is shifting. China is building new alliances and institutions. Western leaders are in Beijing to understand and adapt to this new landscape. They're fighting to keep their values and interests relevant in a changing world. Engagement is now a strategic necessity. The stakes are global and the clock is ticking. Dialogue is the only way to shape the future. Behind the red carpets, real negotiations unfold. Picture a European leader across from Xi, formal, polite, but tense. Every word is chosen carefully: trade barriers, detained citizens, intellectual property. The goal: protect national interests without sparking a diplomatic crisis. German CEOs voice fears of tech theft. Chinese officials promise reforms, but skepticism lingers. Hope and caution mix as the meetings end. Elsewhere, Western leaders tour high-tech hubs in Shenzhen, China's Silicon Valley. They see robotics, AI, and innovation on display. The message: China is no longer just the world's factory, it's a global innovator. These tours are soft power in action, designed to impress and unsettle. Cultural excursions, walks through the Forbidden City, visits to the Terracotta Warriors, offer moments for informal conversation. In these unscripted moments, real connections can form. Diplomacy is more than policy papers. It's about human interaction and finding common ground. Every handshake, every stroll is a move in a complex game. The stakes are high, and the outcome's uncertain. Leaders leave Beijing with new insights and new worries. The real work happens away from the cameras. Trust is built, or eroded, one meeting at a time. The future hinges on what happens behind closed doors. In Beijing, every gesture counts. From Beijing's perspective, this diplomatic influx is a moment of triumph. Western leaders now come seeking China's help and markets, a propaganda victory for the Communist Party. State media frames these visits as proof of China's global indispensability. China uses these meetings to advance its own goals, especially dividing the West. Beijing sees Europe as pragmatic, less ideological than the US, and encourages talk of strategic autonomy. Favorable treatment for European firms is offered to weaken the transatlantic alliance. China welcomes visitors with pomp, presenting Xi as a global statesman. The message: China is a responsible power, offering solutions to global problems. But Beijing gives little ground on trade, market access, or human rights. Western criticism is dismissed as interference. China knows the West needs its economy. This is leverage. It listens politely, offers vague promises, and continues on its own path. Dialogue is welcomed, but always on China's terms. The game is sophisticated, and China plays from a position of strength. The world must adapt to China's new confidence. These visits are part of a larger trend, the fragmentation of the old global order. The unipolar era of US dominance is over. Power is now diffuse and alliances more flexible. The war in Ukraine has deepened divides, but many countries refuse to take sides. China leads a non-aligned bloc, offering an alternative to Western dominance. Its influence is growing, making it impossible for the West to ignore. Global supply chains are being reordered, but decoupling from China is costly and complex. Leaders, like Scholz, seek a middle path, reducing risk without severing ties. This is a delicate recalibration, not a clean break. The era is defined by a competition of ideas: Western liberal democracy versus China's state-led model. China's economic success has shaken Western confidence. The ideological contest is global, and Beijing is a central arena. The diplomatic dance is about more than trade. It's about the future of world order. The stakes are not just economic, but existential. The world is watching to see which model prevails. The outcome will shape the 21st century. What will this new wave of diplomacy achieve? Best case, more stable, predictable relations, and cooperation on global challenges like climate change. Not a return to a golden era, but a mature coexistence. Pessimists warn these visits may yield little, just red carpets, business deals, and no real change on security or human rights. Some say the West risks legitimizing China's system for short-term gain. Another risk: these visits deepen divisions within the West, as countries pursue their own interests. China could exploit these rifts, weakening the Western alliance. The likely outcome? A mix of progress and persistent competition. Limited deals may be struck, but strategic rivalry will continue. Tensions over Taiwan, technology, and values won't disappear. The relationship will remain complex and contradictory. The balancing act between cooperation and confrontation is here to stay. The world must learn to live with uncertainty. These journeys to Beijing capture the story of our era, a world in transition, old certainties gone. Leaders know the risks but also the dangers of disengagement. In a nuclear-armed, climate-threatened world, dialogue is a necessity, not a weakness. The West-China relationship won't be decided in a single meeting. It will be forged through years of patient, difficult diplomacy. There will be setbacks and crises, but face-to-face talks offer hope. The prosperity and security of the West and China are intertwined. Citizens must understand the complexity. This isn't a simple contest of good versus evil. Leaders are balancing economic needs, security, and values with no easy answers. An informed public is essential for a smart, sustainable strategy. These visits are not a magic bullet, but the start of a long process. The goal isn't to change China, but to find a way to coexist. The future must be built through dialogue, not confrontation. The parade of leaders is a pragmatic response to a new reality. The next chapter will be written together, or not at all.